Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Change your game with the all-new Pro Rock Hockey Stick, a Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Pro Rock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at ProRock.com. Play like a Pro Rock.
What's happening today, everybody? Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12 Out Sports. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. Welcome to the 148th show we are doing today, live on 12 Out Sports, a beautiful, sunny Baltimore, Maryland. Today, Birdland, home to Baltimore Rose, Baltimore Ravens. It's much more pleasant outside. As I stepped outside this morning, it was much nicer than it was on Monday with all that slush and ice. And it's starting to feel like springtime, ladies and gentlemen. And even though we're getting closer to springtime, we're getting closer to the quarterback sagas and all the offseason moves. But ladies and gentlemen, as I always do on this show, I always have guests. I usually have it at the 11:45 a.m. Eastern time slot. But this morning, I have a schedule change. At 11:15 a.m. Eastern time, former FCS tight end quarterback from Lehigh University, Michael Bauer, will be joining the show. He will be calling me live onto the show. Absolutely big Dallas Cowboys fan. He played tight end in college, mainly on special teams a lot. And he's going to discuss with me about the whole Dak Prescott situation, how he feels about it. He texted me once about it once before. You'll get to hear his thoughts all about it, so just don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Also went to my high school, Wyoming Valley West, played quarterback there, was an all-state player, and his uncle played at Lafayette too. Actually reached the NFL. So, ladies and gentlemen, you do not want to go anywhere. Now let me start with my Dak Prescott segment here. So, is Dak Prescott going to really be franchise tagged by the Dallas Cowboys, or are they simply going to mess things up and let him walk? Let me just say something about Dak Prescott. I don't understand why they have not signed him by now. The problem is that Jerry Jones can't seem to get out of his own way now, can he? If this was his beloved, dear old Tony Romo was still the quarterback, he would have been taken care of a long time ago because he felt like Tony Romo was his adopted son. You can put that one in the bank. If it was Tony Romo, not Dak, if it was Tony Romo instead of Dak Prescott, he would have been paid already. I mean, Dak Prescott is heart and soul of the Dallas Cowboys, but here's the thing about Dak. They couldn't do squat without him last year. You should use that 10th overall pick on an offensive lineman or defensive player, not on a quarterback. But typical Jerry Jones fashion, who wants to be in the media for headlines only. That's the way he operates. And I should probably ask Mike Bauer in a few minutes when he calls me in the next 10 minutes if he feels like that Jerry Jones should finally sell the Dallas Cowboys. Because I know how Giants fans have gotten about the Maras and the Tishes who want to sell the Giants, or the New York Mets fans with the Wilpons, as I like to call them, the coupons. And then, you get Steve Cohen to buy the team. Now, Jerry Jones is a good businessman. Let's not get carried away. But from a football perspective alone, he is completely garbage. He don't care about, please. He cares more about money and his own ego, and that's why he fired Jimmy Johnson a long time ago. And Troy Aikman was ticked off, and when Jimmy Johnson got elected to the Hall of Fame, do you remember Troy Aikman crying in the Fox booth? That's how much he meant. And I know we get critical of Jason Garrett. I know how New York Giants fans are Jason Garrett as an OC, but he had to deal with chaos with Jerry Jones as an owner. You don't think a lot of Cowboys fans want to get rid of Jerry Jones as the owner? He makes Mark Cuban look like a saint. And I think Mark Cuban's a good guy. He's a good business guy, but I think he cares more about winning. I think Cuban doesn't do it for the headlines, and Jerry Jones will do anything in his power to make headlines, and he's exactly doing that with the Dak Prescott situation. And if Dak Prescott leaves the Dallas Cowboys via trade, and if they decide to franchise tag him again, let me go through you some teams that he might be able to sign with. The Washington football team, the Carolina Panthers, the Philadelphia Eagles, the New Orleans Saints, and the Denver Broncos are some teams that come to mind here. That would be very interesting to see. I think Dallas has a lot more needs in the 2021 NFL Draft than the quarterback position, and that goes without saying. And I'm not obviously going to stop here right now. I'm going to go into my next quarterback segments until Mike calls me here. Let me get into Deshaun Watson. Has final 3 destinations on this list. But according to Diana Russini this morning of ESPN, and also Laura Rutledge of ESPN, she also retweeted what Diana said, what's going to happen. I made a response that, does anyone really want to deal with a poverty franchise in the Houston Texans for the sole reason that they're basically treated like Deshaun Watson, like utter garbage? And the truth of the matter is, he deserves better. He deserves better than an organization. And they're basically handcuffing him. That's what I feel like the Houston Texans do with Deshaun Watson. They are handcuffing him like he's locked up in prison. You know what? That's an excellent observation. Deshaun Watson's in handcuffs, and he's in jail in the Houston Texans, and he just wants to be free. And here's Mike. Good morning, Mike. Thank you for coming on the show today. I just ended my Dak Prescott segment and went to Deshaun Watson.
Glenn, thank you for having me. Yeah, that's why I gave you a call. I was giving your show a listen. I saw that you were moving on and wanted to give you a call while you were still on Dak. Thank you for having me. It's an honor. No. Your show's blowing up here, and I'm just looking forward to being a part of it.
No problem. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, what in the high seas is going on in Dallas with the Dak Prescott situation? How frustrating is it for you? You think Dak wants the contract, or do you think Jerry Jones is just doing it for the headlines?
Well, I think it's a bit of both there, Glenn. You know Jerry Jones is always looking to be in the headlines. I feel like every time he signs with a free agent, it's a Saturday night when something else is going on. He likes to steal the show, but this has been a long time coming. I'm glad that we're talking about this right now, because I think over the past 2 years they've been talking about this. The next 2 weeks are really the most prime time with this contract negotiation. Dak wants to be a Cowboy for life. He's made it abundantly clear that he wants to be with the team. But with that being said, they just do not see eye to eye. And I would love to get into the details behind it. I did some research on some different contract negotiation scenarios, but it's a mess right now, man. I mean, Jerry Jones, he's gotten in his own way so many times. I know you're not a fan of him, and he's really put himself in a bad situation here.
Yeah, and I agree. And I said the fact, because New York Giants fans have said John Mara, Steve Tisch sell the team, and New York Mets fans. They call the Wilpons or the Coupon family, whatever you call it, and then you get Steve Cohen to finally buy the team. Has there been a vibe in Dallas and Dallas radio for fans calling for Jerry Jones to sell the team at all? Are you one of those people?
Well, I would like to see him sell the team, but Glenn, you have to understand with Jerry Jones, there's one thing that continually gets in the way between him and his business transaction, and it's his own pride. He cares more about what people think about him than he does about the success of the team. At least that's the way most fans see it. So I don't see him ever selling the team. I think, he has his son, Stephen Jones, and then his daughter very invested in the team. And when he eventually leaves this world and passes on, he'll just pass it to them. I don't think he needs the money. I think he loves the limelight. He loves the recognition that the Jones family gets from being the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. So I unfortunately do not see him going anywhere.
So what I find interesting a couple of weeks ago is like, it was something about, have you ever had friends that go to Dallas and they're like Giants and Eagles fans or Washington fans, and you're just like, you just want them to, I guess, rub it into Dallas Cowboys a little bit. What do you think of, like, if you ever gotten to Dallas, people that gotten to Dallas wearing other teams' jerseys and stuff, especially with the divisional rivals?
It's funny, Glenn. You and I grew up in Wilkesboro, Pennsylvania, in the Northeast PA, where everybody seemed like that they were a fan of different teams. So it was always great jarring with your friends. And I grew up going to Philadelphia to see Dallas versus Eagles, and I've been to Giants-Eagles games and so on and so forth. And I think I went to a Cowboys versus Eagles game in 2019 when the Cowboys lost 17-9 and Dak was unable to really throw a pass, and it was the end of the Jason Garrett era. And I had someone walk up to me when I was going to my seat and told me that he was going to effing kill me and swing at me. And I was just like walking around just trying to find my seat, man. And then I ended up going to a Colts versus Cowboys game later in the year or earlier in the year, and the Colts fans were so welcoming, and they had Colts jerseys on. They're like, "Hey, want me to take a picture of you and your fiance?" And it was just such a different vibe. So similarly, I actually had a friend who's a diehard Eagles fan. He might be listening now, that I was good buddies with at Lehigh, and he went to a Cowboys-Eagles game in Dallas last year, and he was sending me videos. He's like, "Dude, these are the nicest people in the world. They're taking pictures with us." And it's just a different vibe, man. It depends where you are within the country, but nothing's quite like Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's funny. At least as Giants and Cowboys fans, I guess we could agree that the Eagles have now become a poverty franchise. I always say, you know what the old phrase, what goes around comes around, karma's the B word, and I'd put the Eagles hat into the trash bag over here. I mean it's very smiling. But on a more serious note, with the number 10 pick, what do you think the Dallas Cowboys should do? Defense or offensive line?
That's a good question. I was listening to you right before I joined, and you said that the first thing you said was that they should draft an offensive tackle, which I agree with, Glenn. I know that Penei Sewell will probably be gone by the 10th pick, but they do have Rashawn Slater as someone that they're looking to target. I believe he's from Northwestern. He sat out within the past year. They have Tyron Smith, who was a previous All-Pro tackle, La'el Collins, who was a great tackle as well, but their durability is an issue here. We cannot rely on them in the 21 season. I think between the two of them, they might have played a game or a game and a half in this past season. So if they go with the tackle position as a backup option, I will not disagree with that whatsoever. But, the fact of the matter is their defense is atrocious. They cannot stop a nosebleed. And I would not be opposed to them drafting either Patrick Surtain III from Alabama or Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. Now, another option that they have this horrible contract with Jalen Smith, who is an outstanding person, but he cannot read his box. He doesn't read his guards. He is horrendous in coverage, and he really isn't quite the run stopper that he once was. So if they could somehow get away from or get out of his contract and draft Micah Parsons, who has made it very clear that he wants to be a Dallas Cowboy, I would also welcome that option as well.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Micah Parsons, because wouldn't it be so typical Cowboys to draft a player with questionable character like a Randy Gregory and then just get suspended? That would be so typical Dallas Cowboys. I think you want to be careful with that, no?
Well, yeah, I do know that, but James Franklin has always praised Micah Parsons, and it seems like he did have an outgoing character type. I don't really know much about him on a personal side, but the Cowboys do have a history with drafting Penn State linebackers. I know Sean Lee has been with the organization for about 10 years now, and they love him. He's probably going to be a coach after this year. So I think the Cowboys will be able to assist that situation when they start with these pre-draft or combine type interviews and kind of really get to know Micah Parsons as a person. But from a player, from his production on the field, I really think he'd be a great option. He's a long linebacker that is really great in stopping the run, and that's what they're looking for, man. The Cowboys have had a horrible run defense for the for the majority of my life, they lost to the Rams in the 2018 playoffs simply because they could not stop C.J. Anderson, who was a washed-up running back. So, he might have some off-the-field issues, or he might be an outspoken character, but they can make it work.
Yeah, I find that stuff very interesting with what you said. Speaking of coaches, is there been any vibe in Dallas that if the Cowboys get off to another slow start next year, they're going to fire Mike McCarthy? And do you think Kellen Moore could be a head coach?
Well, that's a good question. I think the answer to both of those are yes, because Mike McCarthy had a horrible year this year. I mean, offensively they were fine, but there was a lot of situations that really worked against him. It was a COVID year. They didn't really have a training camp. He was new to the whole situation. He got hired by the Cowboys, I think, in late January. He didn't really meet Dak Prescott until like 6 months later. So there was a lot working against him. And then obviously Dak, their best player, snapped his ankle in half in week 5. So I don't really want to hold it against him. I know that he had the whole smash and watermelons things, and the players came out and said that they love playing for him. So you have to give him another year. But if it comes out where they have all this offensive talent, they fix some positions, key positions on defense, and they're horrible again. Yeah, you got to get rid of them. This NFL is continuing to evolve, and these coaches are innovative. But Mike McCarthy has been around for a while. You see, all the other hirings besides, I believe, the Texans have been young, innovative coaches. So they probably should have gone that route. But I'm not ready to close the door on the Mike McCarthy era just yet. But yeah, Kellen Moore, he's an outstanding coach. I'm really glad he turned down the Boise State the coaching job because he's a great offensive coordinator. He's still incredibly young, but I think in the next few years he's going to get an offer here.
Now, you were talking about the fans earlier, like how Indy was welcoming and Philadelphia was not welcoming, and I could kind of sense that vibe. I mean, are Colts games that's fun? And do you think Carson Wentz is actually going to help the Colts next year, considering you live in the Indy area? What's the Indy radio station saying over there?
Well, everybody is just incredibly excited. Some people are skeptical with the whole situation because the moral of the story is Carson Wentz was horrible last year. There was a lot of issues with management and the whole Jalen Hurts signing, and he must have just lost his confidence. There's a lot that went into that. But if you look at the statistics behind the situation, he was like the 34th ranked quarterback out of 32 starters. So he was not good. But Indianapolis Colts fans and Chris Ballard and Frank Reich are hoping that they could reinvent Carson Wentz and bring back the Carson Wentz that we saw in 2017 when he was paired up with Frank Reich. He's in a completely different situation here in Indiana. Like you said, I was someone that experienced Philadelphia. I'm someone that experienced Indianapolis. It could not be any more opposite. When a game's over in Philadelphia, you turn on sports radio and they are ripping apart the team and everybody's exploding. The whole city's exploding. In Indiana, it's a lot different. So I think he'll be in a great situation with a great offensive line. Hopefully they go out in free agency and obtain someone like a Chris Godwin or Allen Robinson or Galladay from Detroit because they do have free cap space. So I think he'll be in a good situation. The vibe is that people are just hoping that he could be maybe not 2017 Wentz, but maybe 2018 or 2019 where he could put them in a good chance to succeed here. But yeah, everybody's excited, man, because it's been a rough couple of years for Colts fans. They've had great teams, but the whole Andrew Luck situation and then Jacoby Brissett and then Phillip Rivers didn't really work out. So I think they're a quarterback away from being a true contender.
So I'll give you 3 quick final questions here. Considering we both think the Eagles are not going to be a threat, who do you think's a bigger threat to the Dallas Cowboys next year, the Washington football team or the New York Giants?
Oh, Glenn, you put me in a tough situation here, knowing your roots. But I would have to go with the Giants, man, because with the New York or the Washington football team, they do not have a quarterback. Alex Smith came out and talked yesterday, I believe, was an article with GQ saying that the Washington football team did not want him there. I mean, that's just a terrible situation. I really feel for the guy, but at the same time, I have an immense amount of respect for him. But I believe that they owe him $24.5 million next year, so that's going to be a huge dead cap hit if they decide to move away, and I don't know what they're going to do in the draft, or because they won the division, so they don't have a great pick, or if they do something in free agency with Russell Wilson or any other, like a Deshaun Watson. But the Giants have a great defense surrounding them. I like their secondary. I like their run defense, and I think if they could somehow get a key player to help them offensively, maybe another stud wide receiver, help Daniel Jones out, I think it's going to be a battle between the G-Men and the Cowboys next year for the NFC East.
Dad, I don't tell that to my friends down in Washington, D.C. area, Bauer. I always have to tell those Washington football team fans that it's always going to be a fight between them and the New York Giants. And another question is, what would you say And when you played at Lehigh, the difference between the high school level and the college level was?
Ooh, that's a great question, Glenn. I could talk about that for a while. Well, I would say first and foremost, like everybody would say, would be the speed of the game was completely different. I think when I played at Valley West, I was never a fast kid, but I was definitely fast enough to be able to break tackles and have kind of long runs and play a defense as an outside linebacker position. But once I got to college, these guys were running. We had people running 4.3s, 4.4s, 4.5s, and it was just the speed was really different. And then also just the level of preparation that these coaches went through. I mean, some of our, not just the head coach itself, but some of our positional coaches were making $20,000 a year, but at the same time they were working 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, man. I mean, I put so much time in during the season, and then our off day would be Monday, and our coaches would spend, looking at film to prep for the next week from 7 a.m. to midnight on Monday, which was our off day. So the amount of preparation that went into it, and really how much it mattered. When you're playing in high school football, obviously you care. You're playing for your pride of your school, but in college, these coaches are heavily compensated, so this is their livelihood at stake here. So there's a lot more pressure from that perspective. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of similarities. At the end of the day, you're just playing ball.
And my last question to you is, what contract amount of money, how many years, how much money would you give Dak Prescott?
Oh, that's what I want. That's great. I wanted to talk about that. So this morning, I was actually on Twitter before your show, just trying to prep, and I was reading some articles that were put out by some Cowboys beat writers. And one of the articles, it's through the Fish Report. He partnered with a longtime agent his name is Joel Corey. And Joel Corey had, I don't know, through some insider information or just maybe what he thought how this is going to work out would be that Dak is going to sign for a 3-year deal worth $124.5 million. That would give him $100 million fully guaranteed with a $60 million signing bonus, and it would be $41 million per year. But I think that with the signing bonus, they could range it to only be a cap hit of about $17 million per year this year. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Glenn, he's going to get market value. He's a top 10 quarterback, at least I believe he is. And it doesn't matter if you're number 1, number 2, or number 3. You're going to get the market value just like Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, and Jimmy Garoppolo did. So Jerry Jones really put himself, as I mentioned earlier, dug himself in a deep hole here. They should have paid him when Wentz and Goff got paid for about $32 million per year. And I think depending on the length of the contract, that's going to be about a $50 million mistake for Jerry Jones.
Do you think he should? You think he should have hired a general manager?
Yeah, I think he definitely does. He needs someone, like I mentioned, Jerry's number one issue is his pride, and he cares more about his reputation than anything. He doesn't want to pay Dak because he does not want to be looked at as the loser in this situation. So if he could hire a general manager that's not his son, Stephen Jones, someone that is not affiliated with the Jones family, I feel like that they could have a little bit more sense of clarity with situations like this.
All right, thank you, Mike, for coming on the show. It's good talking to you. Good to hear your voice again. I haven't heard it in such a long time. Felt like it changed a lot.
I know it might have, Glenn. It's been a while, but I really appreciate you getting me on the call. Anytime you want, just let me know, and I would love to get on again.
All right, you got it. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ben. See
Yep.
ya.
That's a good call on his part. We're listening to my show, and he just transitions in with Dak Prescott. That was a great conversation. Huge Dallas Cowboys fan. I've known him since my high school days. So now let me get back onto Deshaun Watson. I'm going to have to speed things up here a little bit on time here. So as I was saying about Deshaun Watson, he's got the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Panthers as his 3 destinations. Miami, Carolina, New York, I think should be in that order for Deshaun Watson. It'll be interesting to see where they could get him, though. So if Deshaun Watson lands with the Miami Dolphins, I know that a lot of teams that could land him, and also Miami Dolphins, are looking to potentially move off of Tua Tagovailoa, the Jets with Sam Darnold, maybe the Carolina Panthers with Teddy Bridgewater. We'll see where this goes. So this is what broke out this morning. Russell Wilson is this camp scene. There's been talked about Colin Cowherd show, Fox Sports 1. Potentially 3 first-round picks. There are 4 teams that came out this morning by Russell Wilson's camp for trade destinations. Miami Dolphins, New York Jets, New Orleans Saints, Las Vegas Raiders. Let's eliminate the Las Vegas Raiders and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints do not have... They're in cap hell, basically. They want to trade Michael Thomas, the wide receiver. They want to trade Michael Thomas. Las Vegas Raiders said, General Manager Mike Mayock, we ain't trading Derek Carr. So it comes down to New York Jets, Miami Dolphins. So here's what I'm going to say, the case for the Jets and the Dolphins. The New York Jets. Jets make sense because I think the Seahawks get a young quarterback, and Sierra probably wouldn't mind living in New York. Why does Miami make sense? Young team, very good defensively, and are in win-now mode. And if you're the Miami Dolphins, and I know there's some speculation now coming out on Tua, that they may not be happy with him. If you're Miami, I don't know if you can afford to wait for Deshaun Watson. Wouldn't you rather do a business with someone that's competent and more respectable, like in the Russell Wilson camp, than what's going on with the Houston Texans? If I'm the Miami Dolphins today, I would call them. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, I would call the Seattle Seahawks today, give them both of my first-round picks this year. Or if you don't want to give them your first-round picks this year, give them your number 3 or one of your other first-round picks. Your second-rounder this year and next year's 1, and that could be settled. So that's where I think Russell Wilson will land potential Miami Dolphins or the New York Jets because we'll see how the waiting game goes. Next, Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger is coming back to the Pittsburgh Steelers next season. And he is the heart and soul of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I guess he couldn't walk away. I guess he's going to go for cheap. He's the worst quarterback in the division. Let's see, you got Joe Burrow, Cincinnati, Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens, and you got Baker Mayfield, Cleveland Browns. He may not be better than any of them. You need to get a better. Your defense was good. You got to somehow re-sign Bud Dupree. Marquise Pouncey retired. You need a running back. You need a Najee Harris from Alabama or something like that. That's where I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to go. If they do not go that route, they could potentially be in trouble. Now, they made it to the playoffs last year. They started 11-0. Then they faltered, finished 12-4, and they got obliterated against the Cleveland Browns in the first round. That's what it came down to. The Cleveland Browns, not the Cleveland Browns, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm telling you this. The Steelers might finish in last next year in the division. And you know what? Roethlisberger is a better option than the Dwayne Haskins or a Mason Rudolph. But maybe general manager Kevin Colbert wanted to go a different direction. Maybe he simply wanted to do that. But I'm telling you, folks, the Steelers ain't looking too hot for next year. Use promo code 12ounce sports, all cash for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. We are live on 12ounce sports, Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. We are live, mybookie.ag. 12-ounce sports, quench your thirst, 12ouncesportsradio.com/Amazon, promo 12ounce sports. Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, starting next week, I will not only be on the air on Mondays and Thursdays, but I will also be on the air on Tuesday mornings as well at the same time, 11 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern time, with Michael Corvallis on the new show that I'll be co-starring with him, called Mike Times Glenn. You do not want to miss it. I'll actually be showing my face in that one. So if you actually want to see my pretty and beautiful face, you're more than welcome to join and watch that show, listen to it all as well. And ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be fun. If you like Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, or Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp kind of mode, that's what that show's going to be like. But only the 12-ounce sports version. And I'd like to thank Jamie Beck and Cody Jensen for sending that one up for all the professionalism, wonderful jobs they do each and every single day on this network. And also Tyler Valdez, Lou Gamble, and Michael Corvallis. And all the rest of the 12-ounce sports crew. And now let me get into my next segment here. Cody, I want to know if you'll ever debate this on your show. But I was thinking about this yesterday. And actually, I've been thinking about this for a while. So the Toronto Maple Leafs, Sheldon Keefe, the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, felt like it would be a tremendous idea to have John Tavares, Mitchell Marner, and Austin Matthews on the same line. And in the one game that they had those three together on the same line, they were completely shut out. But when Sheldon Keefe put Nylander on the same line as Matthews and Marner, they actually won the game 2-1. And my question is, when the expansion draft comes this summer, Should the Toronto Maple Leafs expose John Tavares or William Nylander? Because you know the business side of it, that they were rumored around that Nylander wanted to get traded. Not that he wanted to get traded, but they were listening to offers for Nylander. They traded Kasperi Kapanen to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they also let go of Andreas Johnsson, New Jersey Devils. You bring in Joe Thornton, Wayne Simmons, proven veterans, and now, ladies and gentlemen, they are currently in the President's Trophy League. But the question is, do you unprotect John Tavares or William Nylander? Here's the hurtful truth about all this. It should be William Nylander that should be left protected. But the politics involved with Toronto and the Maple Leafs, they will protect Tavares over Nylander. Although with the whole no movement clause, all that stuff, that's going to be the problem. There's no way that you're going to ask John Tavares to waive his no-trade clause. It's simply not going to happen. He's from Mississauga, Ontario. He's a Toronto-born kid. It's a suburb area, and there's no way he's going to be too stubborn to waive that clause. Which means you're going to lose a younger player, Nylander, and Nylander's better than Tavares. And there's some even questions as if Tavares is even going to make the Canadian Olympic team, and he simply may not. And I've talked about this with my brother Jacob. There is no way that you can defend the way Tavares has played. He's disappeared at times this year, and I know Austin Matthews and Mitchell Marner have carried the offense 60% of the time. But the truly fact that John Tavares cannot step up when Matthews and Marner have an off night is alarming. And this is what you paid him the money for? The $10, $11 million man a year man? Who simply cannot step up when it matters the most? His best days were with the New York Islanders. And yeah, it was with Jack Capuano. And my brother Jacob is like, oh, but what if Tavares was with the New York Islanders? My Uncle Frank's like, no, he'd be a cancer inside that locker room. Which simply also might be true. And there's reasons why that Matthew Barzal has taken shots before at Tavares when Toronto and the Islanders have played each other. There was some sense of jealousy between Tavares and Barzal. And the laughing factor at the end of the day is Barzal's going to make the Canadian team over John Tavares. That tells you Matthew Barzal is a better player than John Tavares. And William Nylander is probably going to make his Sweden Olympic team. He's very good. I don't think Toronto should move off him. But there's also time last year I said trade Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews for Nylander and Marner. And it was like, that was a little crazy talk. Someone brought it up and it's now like, no. That's not going to be the case here. So if I was Toronto, I would maybe move off of John Tavares and not William Nylander to the Seattle Kraken. But you know how the business works. Politics play more of a role here, sadly and unfortunately. So now let me and the Toronto Maple Leafs have not won the Stanley Cup since 1967. So now let me get into my NHL and NBA game recaps here. And my NBA All-Star reserves announced it will be around the final 24-25 minutes of the show here today. Maybe 23. We'll see how this all goes. So last night, between the Pittsburgh Penguins, Tuesday night, and they'll be playing each other again tonight. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals NHL game recap. So the Pittsburgh Penguins, for the fourth time this season in 5 games, took down the Washington Capitals by a final score of 3-2. So, I guess you could say with the 2-2 tie in the third period, the Capitals or the Penguins didn't leave any room for error. Pittsburgh, And Washington played defensively tight. And then in overtime, Teddy Bluger just makes a beautiful pass against Kasperi Kapanen. And it was 3:17 remaining in the overtime session. As I said, it was assisted by Teddy Bluger and also Tristan Jarry. You know what I didn't realize? There was one game the other night that Kasperi Kapanen got benched for a little bit, and I guess he got the message from Mike Sullivan. And he's actually not been bad this year, Kapanen. And he was acquired, as I said earlier, from the Toronto Maple Leafs. That was by former general manager Jim Rutherford. As I've said, you got president of hockey operations Brian Burke and general manager Ron Hextall running the show. And it seems like I always see them on television in the booth together in the press box, and it's like I always see them on their phones for some odd reason. I don't know what the rule is with them being on their phones during the games and all that stuff, but that's also probably also interesting. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that actually worries me. If Pittsburgh goes 6-2 or 7-1 against Washington, and if they have to play each other again in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you don't think that how hard it is to beat them an extra 4 times? And if it was a split, I'd be like, okay, it's a dead even split at 4, which I don't see happening. I see Pittsburgh winning at least one more game, maybe 2. I don't see 3. I would be very surprised if Pittsburgh won the last 3 against Washington. I see probably Washington winning at least one of them, maybe 2. It probably wouldn't surprise me if it was like 5-3, 6-2. It won't be 4-4. But it'll be 5-3. That will probably be the most likely scenario, 6-2. It will not be 4-4, 7-1, I can tell you that. The thing is, if they play each other in the playoffs, I have a bad gut feeling the Capitals might knock them out. Because it's hard to beat teams so many times in the regular season. You may not just have enough energy to do it in the postseason. Well, the saying is, if you don't have enough energy in the postseason to win the Stanley Cup, why are you even there to begin with? So I could just say that, for example. I could just simply say that for the sole reason that the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think, are a very good hockey team, and they're in 4th right now. It's a logjam between them, the Philadelphia Flyers, Washington Capitals, and the New York Islanders. In that East Division, the Boston Bruins are in 1st place, but they're really not up by as many points as we think are. Was it 3 points the most? 1 through 5 separated by 3 points? That's it? It's a complete logjam. So what else happened in this game? First period goals of Evgeny Malkin, 6:41 mark. Power play goal assisted by Chris Letang, Jay Gunsel. Malkin has looked better recently, which is good, but I'm still not satisfied by him yet. Letang has also been a lot better, and Gunsel's been very consistent this year. Second period goals, Washington Capitals, Richard Panik. 4:38 mark assisted by Zdeno Chara and John Carlson. Washington Capitals once again, former Pittsburgh Penguins Connor Sheary. 13:18 mark assisted by Evgeny Kuznetsov. Pittsburgh Penguins Jake Gunsel. With 6:20 remaining in the second period, that was 22 seconds apart. It was assisted by John Moreno, Kasperi Kapanen. That was a beautiful tip by Jake Gunsel on a shot by John Moreno. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, is that whenever you think the Penguins are out, they're never out of games. That's the way it seems to roll here. And once again, Tristan Jarry finished the game with 20 saves for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Vitek Vanacek finished the game with 34 saves for the Washington Capitals. And the thing is, both of those goalies made timely saves when they needed to. Yeah, I know Vanacek gave up the game-winning goal to Kasperi Kapanen, but it was a wicked shot and a beautiful pass. That's hard to stop. It's just that out of these 4 or 5 games, Penguins have made 3 times just to 1 more goal play. That's all it's really come down to. Yeah, I know Pittsburgh has led the season series 4-1, but it looks closer than it actually is. I mean, doesn't it? If it wasn't that evenly matched, it'd be 4-1 Penguins in completely decisive games. But the games are not decisive. They're simply not. Let me just say it like that. Excuse me. So this will be the rivalry that potentially decides either the third or fourth final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. In that East Division, excuse me. It's simply going to be a fun, wild ride to the end. And I know it's only February 25th today. I understand all that. But the playoffs are going to be closer in the mirror than they actually appear. And the regular season's going to be over by the beginning of May. And that's when we get to the best time of year to Stanley Cup playoffs. So now let me get into last night's game with the New York Rangers and the Philadelphia Flyers. So this was a 4-3 win for the Philadelphia Flyers, over the New York Rangers. And let me simply say, I know it was Claude Giroux's first game back from the coronavirus. But Claude Giroux, he can't simply find put the puck behind the back of the net. Yeah, I know he had 3 assists, but I mean, is he really the leader and the captain of this hockey team? I personally think it's honestly Sean Couturier, the Philadelphia Flyers. I said, when are they going to rip off the CF Giroux's chest, and when are they going to put it on Couturier's? And I said that, and the World Hockey Report loved that tweet last night. And I don't blame him. I'm probably not the only one. I'm sure Philly Pete probably agrees with me. If he's probably listening to the show right now, we're probably getting prepared for his show right after my show's over. That will be live at noon. If you're all into sports betting, you can listen to his show. It's also tremendous as well. And the New York Rangers, despite a Chris Kreider hat trick, had a losing effort. And the Flyers, their structure's a little shaky under Alain Vigneault. My Uncle Frank was telling me last night. We always mess each other when we're watching these games. And the Rangers, they're in rebuild mode. It's just a matter of time when David Quinn gets let go from the New York Rangers. So first period goals. Eric Gustafsson, 7:48 mark. Assisted by Shane Gottsberg and Claude Giroux. New York Rangers, Chris Kreider. 11:28 remaining in the second period. On the power play, it was assisted by Mika Zibanejad and Adam Fox. Philadelphia Flyers, Shane Gottsberg also in the first period. 15:31 mark. A power play goal assisted by Eric Gustafsson and Claude Giroux. Second period goals, Philadelphia Flyers. Jay Van Riemsdyk having a very underrated season for the Flyers. At the 4:05 mark, another power play goal for the Flyers, assisted by Joe Farabee and Sean Couturier, and they have started to find chemistry on the top line for Philadelphia. One of the most and remember, they still have Jakub Voracek out and Travis Konecny. They still have some key players out, so give it some time for the Flyers here. New York Rangers, Chris Kreider, 8:03 mark. Assisted by Mika Zibanejad, Ryan Strome. Zibanejad has had a tough time this season, and all New York Rangers fans will agree with me on this part, is that Zibanejad has had an awful time trying to find the back of the net this season. Philadelphia Flyers, Kevin Hayes, 14:37 mark, assisted by Claude Giroux and Felipe Myers, another young, underrated defenseman for the Flyers group. He gets overlooked a lot. And I'm telling you this. The Flyers, and they just didn't play that great in the third period. It's just that Brian Elliott saved the day. And the lone goal in the third period is the New York Rangers at the 3:27 mark by Chris Kreider. It was assisted by Ryan Lindgren and Charlie Blackwell. And Igor Shesterkin had 35 saves for the New York Rangers. He actually played very well for them. He wasn't the reason why they lost. And then Brian Elliott recorded 29 saves for the Philadelphia Flyers. And the thing is, with the Flyers, they gave Carter Hart the night off. And the New York Rangers, Artemi Panarin's away from the team at this time, as I was talking about on Monday, about how he had to leave because of some allegations around him back in 2011. And the KHL and all the other leagues are saying this is simply nonsense. We would have investigated this if this actually happened. So it is a bunch of baloney and a bunch of nonsense. What's going on over there with the Artemi Panarin situation? So now let me get into the NBA. And this is from Tuesday night, the Boston Celtics versus Dallas Mavericks, the NBA game recap. But last night, the Celtics got crushed the Atlanta Hawks. And now people are wondering if Brad Stevens should be on the hot seat at 15-17 and they're in 10th in the East, or if general manager, president of basketball operations, Danny Ainge is actually the problem. The actual problem with the Boston Celtics is not Brad Stevens, because he would be hired in 20 minutes for a new job. And it would be shocking if he wasn't hired in those 20 minutes. The Danny Ainge is solely responsible for the Celtics' failures. They have not surrounded Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown properly with help. Yeah, and I know Marcus Smart's hurt. They could have kept Kyrie Irving. They could have kept Gordon Hayward, and they could have kept Terry Rozier. But no, Danny Ainge, we're going to build this through drafting. We could have traded for James Harden. No, Danny Ainge, you got to go, my friend. You're the problem with the Boston Celtics. I know maybe the Celtics won't fire him because he's a longtime great. Maybe like the same situation is why the Denver Broncos wouldn't want to fire John Elway. The problem is the Boston Celtics need to fire Danny Ainge before Brad Stevens. You will make a mistake and he would be hired in 20 minutes. Brad Stevens would get picked up, as I've always said. But Danny Ainge is the problem with the Celtics. And if you can't see that from your eye, with the way he's drafted, the way he signed free agents, and with the way they're very small, and they don't have a lot of talent other than Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, then what in the high seas are you watching? That's as simple as that. The Boston Celtics are big-time underachievers. They've been in the Eastern Conference Finals for the last 3 out of 4 years, and Brad Stevens can only do so much with what he has. At some point, you have to blame the finger at upper management, not at always the coach. There are times that the coach is very good, but the general manager's been horrible with hiring players. And I'll tell you what, that's why do you think the New York Mets kept manager Luis Rojas for a second season, and despite the fact that general manager Brody Van Wagen was atrocious last year, got fired. Sandy Alderson's the president of baseball operations, and he hired his own general manager. That's what it comes down to sometimes. Sometimes it's not all the coach's fault. But Stephen A. Smith said on First Take this one, it's a very interesting point. Maybe the message is stale. He's been there since the 2013-2014 season. He's been there for almost a decade. It's been 8-9 years that he's been with Boston. Maybe he is right. Maybe it's time for a new voice. I don't even think Doc Rivers was even there for that long. He got an NBA title out of it. And then Colin Cowherd of Fox Sports 1 is correct about this. You swing for the fences and don't stand back. You know the one year the Boston Celtics won the NBA championship? They put all the marbles on the table when they traded for Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. And yeah, Paul Pierce there and also Rajon Rondo. That's the time they did. They also had Leon Poe, Glenn Davis, Kendrick Perkins, Avery Bradley. That was their team. That was the Boston Celtics team. And that's how it was looked. So now let's get into game recap in that Tuesday night with the 110-107 win for the Dallas Mavericks over the Boston Celtics. So Luka Doncic hit the game-winning field goal with less than 4 seconds remaining in regulation time. As for Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and the rest of the Boston Celtics, as I said, they've underachieved big time this season. Under 500, I think general manager Danny Ainge should be on the hot seat rather than head coach Brad Stevens. And then Rick Carlisle's probably not going to go anywhere. They're looking to trade Kristaps Porzingis. You also got Luka Doncic. He scored 31 points, shot 47.8% from the field. He also grabbed 10 rebounds, recorded 8 assists and 1 steal. Jalen Brunson scored 22 points off the bench for the Mavericks. He shot 54.5% from the field. Brunson also grabbed 2 rebounds, recorded 2 assists. Josh Richardson scored 16 points. He shot 58.3% from the field. Richardson also grabbed 4 rebounds, recorded 1 assist for the Dallas Mavericks. Jaylen Brown led the Boston Celtics in scoring with 29 points. He shot 60% from the field. Brown also grabbed 7 rebounds, recorded 5 assists, and recorded 2 steals. Jason Tatum scored 28 points for Boston. He shot 43.5% from the field. Tatum also grabbed 6 rebounds, recorded 4 assists, blocked 2 shots, and recorded 1 steal. Kemba Walker scored 21 points for the Celtics. He shot 42.1% from the field. Walker also grabbed 4 rebounds and recorded 3 assists. Now from last night's game, Golden State Warriors versus the Indiana Pacers NBA game recap. 111-107 went for Golden State over Indiana. So, very quickly, Golden State, Steph Curry, 24 points, 33.3% shooting from the field, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. Kelly Oubre Jr., 17 points, 46.7% from the field, and 5 rebounds. Andrew Wiggins, 15 points, 38.5% shooting from the field, 1 rebound, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Indiana Pacers. Malcolm Brogdon, 24 points, 50% shooting from the field, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. Domantas Sabonis, 22 points, 58.3% shooting from the field, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, and 2 steals. And he had a big first half. He had a double-double in the first half, Sabonis. But then he was contained. Doug McDermott, 15 points, 45.5% shooting from the field, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, and 1 steal. So the final around 6, 7, 8 minutes of the show here, let me get into my NBA All-Stars reserved announce. So on Monday on the show, I announced who was the All-Star starters. But actually, let me get back into this very quickly. Let me say this ad here. Use promo code 12ounce sports, all cats with a positive bonus, up to $1,000 from MyBookie. We're live. Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner, MyBookie.ag. 12ounce sports, quench your thirst. 12ouncesportsradio.com/Amazon. Promo 12ounce sports. So here are the reserves. The NBA announced it for the reserves for the All-Star game the other night on Tuesday night on TNT. Let's start with the Eastern Conference. Julius Randle, New York Knicks. Jason Tatum, Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown, Boston Celtics. James Harden, Brooklyn Nets. Zach LaVine, Chicago Bulls. Nikola Vucevic, Orlando Magic. And Ben Simmons, Philadelphia 76ers. Let's see who I thought, in my opinion, from the Eastern Conference was robbed. In my opinion, from the Eastern Conference, Domantas Sabonis of the Indiana Pacers was big-time robbed. How could you tell me that the Indiana Pacers, who are in the thick of a playoff race, could, so if Sabonis is their best player, be snubbed over Vucevic? Now, I like Vucevic a lot. Now, I'll probably have to thank him tonight if he wins me some cachet or cash or whatever on with the FanDuel and DraftKings, all that other funny stuff, or other people for that matter. But the truth is, I thought Sabonis deserved it over Vucevic, and that's all I really got to say about that. He was a big-time snub, but I was a little surprised about Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks being a snub, only because the All-Star games in Atlanta, Georgia, and they usually the NBA usually likes and try getting All-Stars. If they're saying All-Star games like in Atlanta, I thought they were going to give it to Trae Young. I mean, it was a little bit of a surprise. That was just my opinion. Now let's get to the Western Conference reserves. Chris Paul, Phoenix Suns. Paul George, Los Angeles Clippers. Damian Lillard, Portland Trail Blazers. Donovan Mitchell, Utah Jazz. Rudy Gobert, Utah Jazz. Zion Williamson, New Orleans Pelicans. And Anthony Davis of the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, a lot of people like LeBron James, Draymond Green, all stuff like, Devin Booker's the most underappreciated player in the NBA. I mean, what does he have to do in the All-Star game? Well, with Anthony Davis being sidelined to injury, Devin Booker is going to the NBA All-Star game. for the Phoenix Suns. So who was the biggest snub of the Western Conference? Now you got to say Brandon Ingram of the New Orleans Pelicans. I thought, in my opinion, got snubbed. I think they're the same thing like the Boston Celtics. You got two studs, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and you got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. With the New Orleans Pelicans, Boston Celtics. You remember that the other day where the New Orleans Pelicans were down by 24 points and then rallied to win the game in overtime over the Celtics. And that's what I think. That's how I feel like here with those two guys. That'll be a very interesting 2-on-2 game. I think it'll be worthwhile TV. At the same time, I'm curious to see, and you know what? We got a couple. I wonder how. It might be a little bit too late now, actually, how they're going to draft the teams. But you first got to draft the teams with Kevin Durant being the captain and LeBron James being the other captain. Now I'm starting to wonder if Kevin Durant doesn't have a timetable, who in the East you're going to replace Kevin Durant with. And that's going to be interesting. I'm curious if they do replace Kevin Durant. Maybe you do put in Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. That would be very interesting. And then who do you give the captain to of the East? Well, the second most votes. Probably you got to give it to Giannis. It's probably Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. That's probably what it comes down to here. That's just simply my opinion and how this NBA All-Star Weekend's going to go. It's going to be that Monday, March 7th, the NBA All-Star Game. And hey, the NBA is doing this for money. Yeah, I know people shouldn't be doing it because of the whole coronavirus situation and the whole 9 yards and all that stuff. But I guess it is what it is. The NBA has actually been very underrated this year. And so is the NHL. And the MLB season's coming up. We got the NFL offseason. It's all fun times. And the sports world. I'm trying to make my shows fun for you guys. And as I've always said, don't forget, starting this Tuesday, March 2nd at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time, I'll be co-hosting a show with Michael Corvallis called Mike X Glenn. So if you like Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman debates, you definitely do not want to miss that new show with me and Michael Corvallis. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend as well. Though nonetheless, I will be back on the air at the same time on Monday. Also here, though, nonetheless, I will have some more NFL offseason updates, have some more guests on the show. So on Monday, I will be having NBA fan, Washington sports fan, close friend of mine from college, Jonathan Orange, joining the show here. And I will also have some other NHL and NBA game recaps. Use promo code 12OunceSports, all caps with deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. And ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your weekend.
Are you ready for the King of the Ice? Pete's Power Plays with Philly Pete starts now on 12 Ounce Sports.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Thursday February 25th, 2021 episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only king of the ice himself, Philly Pete. That's me right here. And we're live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. Hope everyone had a phenomenal Wednesday evening, and I'm hoping everyone's having an even better Thursday afternoon, Thursday morning, and wherever you may be across the world. This show, Pete's Power Plays, is sponsored by the one, the only, MyBookie.ag. Sports are back, ladies and gentlemen, as we know quite well nowadays. Everything is back. You got March Madness right around the corner. Hockey and basketball are in full gear. You even have Europa and the Champions League for soccer, those soccer fans out there. Everything's back. And what better way to start cashing out large than go to MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code 12Ounce Sports when signing up. That's 12Ounce Sports, 12 OZ Sports. Simple as that. It's all caps, no spaces. Once again, MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code 12Ounce Sports, 12 OZ Sports. They'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. And always remember to gamble responsibly. Also, Zingo TV, channel 761. Those out there that are tuning in to today's episode of Pete's Power Plays, welcome aboard. Those that don't have Zingo TV, I highly recommend you get it. It is a free app. Everyone loves free stuff nowadays. And by going so, go to search up Zingo TV. It's on every streaming device out there. Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV, Google Chromecast, whatever you have. Download it. It's free. Zingo, Zingo TV, channel 761. It's 761. Use the promo code 12Ounce, 12 OZ. And again, flip over to channel 761 for today's episode of Pete's Power Plays. And last but not least, Amazon.com. We have a website out there, 12 Ounce Sports, of course. And get something. Get something today for your loved ones, whatever it may be. Go to www.12ouncesportsradio.com/Amazon. Once again, www.12ouncesportsradio.com/Amazon. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. It is the last day of the week for Pete's Power Plays, of course, but don't be alarmed. I will be back on Tuesday like usual. We had a great night last night. What can I say? We needed that after what happened last night. Now, that's 3 of the last 4 nights now that we have been cashing out. You know, we had on Monday night, or Sunday we cashed over 2 units. Monday we cashed over 2 units. Last night, unfortunately, 2 nights ago, unfortunately, we did not cash out what we wanted. And last night we followed up with over 3 units on the night as well. So 3 of the last 4 nights have been cash money for everybody out there that's tailing my plays. Last night was a big cash out when it came to the dogs. Kings cashed out on the money line and the plus 1.5. The Minnesota Wild that I was big on yesterday, plus 1.5, and the money line, that cashed out as well. I was also in the Ducks on the show. I had the Ducks money line, and they blew it. They absolutely blew it. They were up once again 3-0. Coyotes come back and they win in overtime. Simple as that. But that plus 1.5, that's when it comes into play. So that cashed out as well. So, and the over 5. A lot of people were on the under 5. I mean, when you see 5s, you got to take the over. I mean, I stress this out time and time again. A lot of people DM me about why you're taking the over 5 against teams that are low-scoring offenses. Well, if you watched the game before, they had 7 goals, okay? And the over-under, once again, last night was set at 5. What are we going to do? We're going to smash that over 5 as well. And look what happened. It cashed out again. So a lot of people were on the under. Philly Pete was on the over 5. No brainer, no problem. That was an easy cash out winner there. It's good to be on top of other NHL cappers. I mean, it's great. It's great when you win and then you see everybody all taking the unders. I mean, that's what sometimes you got to do. You got to fade the public once in a while. You see everybody on the unders, you got to take the over. You see a lot of people on the over, you got to take the under. Got to switch it up, and that's why you're out victorious. Simple as that. You are victorious. Also, Ducks plus 1.5. Another thing. A lot of people were on the Coyotes money line. I was seeing that. I saw some people, a lot of people on the Ducks money line, but this is why this is a close game. You know, I was on the Ducks money line, but it was not a Twitter play or a client play. It was a show play. But for insurance, you know, you got to take the plus 1.5. So that's when that plus 170 parlay cashed out. You know, we had the Kings plus 1.5 and the Ducks plus 1.5. That was a nice, easy winner for those that tailed that Twitter play. No problem. I know a couple people reached out to me that they tailed that play, and they got some really nice value there at plus 170. Simple as that. So let's get into last night's action as a recap. Now, we went 7-5 last night with a plus 3.6 unit overall evening. Again, Three of the last four nights have been money for all of us. So we are getting hot right now, and I'm telling you right now, this is a good start to the week. Last week was absolute crap. I promise for a better week this week, and 3 of the 4 last days here have been cashing us out. So let's make it 4 out of 5 nights. So last night we had the Stars plus 1.5 and the Lightning money line at plus 150. That cashed out. We hit 2 parlays last night, so congrats to those that tailed that. Once again, Stars plus 1.5 and the Lightning money line at plus 150. That cashed out. Lightning and Canes over 6. I expected some goals from the Hurricanes. You know, I did love the Lightning big time yesterday. As you mentioned, I mentioned on my show yesterday that I had 2 locks that I liked, and I gave you my side notes on both of them. So there you have it. I had the Lightning on the money line and the Flyers on the money line. So hint, hint, if you did tune in to yesterday's show and you heard my side notes about these 2 games, they were automatic locks and they both cashed out. So simple as that. Those that tuned in basically got a free client play right there. That's how it rolls. That's how it rolls. This is why you all listen to my show, because I give out potential client plays, and you tune in, you're going to get free client plays if you listen in. So the Flyers was a client play on the money line, and that cashed out. That was one of the 2 locks that I liked, and of course the Lightning cashed out as well. So Lightning and Hurricanes over 6, that lost. Panthers Stars over 5.5. I did like the value there. The way that the Panthers have been playing, they've been scoring, but you knew the Stars were going to come out of their shell eventually. And Panthers didn't score, and the Stars defense came through. Qdobin, an amazing night, 43 saves. He has been really, really lights out last night, and I like that. So Stars, Panthers over 5.5, lost. Leafs in regulation lost. I don't know what is going on with this Leafs team, with this Canadiens team. I mean, a lot of these good North Division teams that should be winning, are losing. I mean, Calgary gave them a good fight. And they had the game. They were up 1-0, and Toronto comes back and they score and they win in overtime 2-1. So I mean, they are winning, but I mean, these are really tight, low-scoring games in the North Division that we're not used to seeing. But this whole season, that's what the North Division's been. It's been a lot of unders, and Senators coming back to reality and playing better, and even Calgary. I mean, Calgary is not in the playoff contention of that top 4 in the North Division, but they are playing teams really good too. So that North Division is going to be fun to watch when it comes to playoff scenarios. So Leafs in regulation lost. That was a plus 110. Ducks and Coyotes, like I said, over 5. That was an easy peasy winner there. Ducks plus 1.5. Kings plus 1.5 at plus 170. That cashed out. That was a good value parlay for the night, and let alone as a puck line parlay as well. So we hit 2 parlays last night, plus 150, plus 170. Good job to those that tailed. Avalanche and the Wild over 5.5 at plus 110. That was a winner as well. You got to take it. We knew that the Avalanche were going to score some goals, and just the way the Minnesota's been playing well, they scored 6 against San Jose the night before, and they popped another 6 last night against the Avalanche. They're playing really good hockey right now. Philly Pete has some futures on them to make the playoffs and to win the Stanley Cup. So I mean, that's a good sleeper team. I've been talking up this Wild team and Canadiens team all before the season started. And I was even talking about the Habs even after last season, building them up, and the Wild building them up too, how they're going to be good this season. And here we are. They're the Wild are catching fire as we speak. So that was good value over 5.5 there. And I did, like I said, on the show, those that did tail the Wild money line at plus 155, that cashed out too. So again, a lot of show plays that did not make the Twitter list cashed out too. So just because my play, one of these plays here that I talked on my show didn't make the cut on my list or client list, this is why you listen to the show, to get all of the breakdowns that I give to you and each and every lean that I have. So if you did listen to the show and you took the Minnesota Wild on the money line, congratulations. Simple as that. Leafs team total over 3.5. That was a loser. I expected more from the Leafs there. The first period over 1.5. Again, that was a loser as well. I expected more from that. But however, on the show, we did cash out the under 6.5 in that game. We had the 6.5 from the morning, and I rolled with it with the under 6.5. It did not make the cut, but again, the reason why I do this show is so you guys get the complete breakdowns and leans that I like. And those that took the under 6 or 6.5 in that Calgary-Toronto game, congratulations. That was an easy winner once again. Now to wrap up, the Leafs on the money line, that was a winner, luckily. Stars money line, at plus 120. That was a winner. And the Flyers money line, again, that was a hint free client play to those that tuned in yesterday. And again, clients go undefeated. Clients sweep the board. That was a hell of a night for clients. And just because, and like I said, we're getting started. All right, this has been 3 of the last 4 nights have been cash nights. So let's get it rolling again, okay? And we're gonna hopefully get 4 out of 5 nights. Clients have been rocking as well. And again, just because these have been hitting, I mean, more clients are signing up by the day. I think I have looks like I had about 4 sign up this morning. So those that did, wait up for me after the show, and I will get to you as soon as possible. Let me know what kind of package you want, season, weekly, or monthly, simple as that. I'm also still running that $100 off for the end of the month. We're winding down February, ladies and gentlemen. We have 3 days left, 4 days left. And once March rolls around, it'll be $150 off for the entire rest of the season if you sign up for me for the entire conclusion of the NHL, and it includes playoffs too. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. All in all, 7-5 overall last night with a plus 3.6 units on the evening. Hell of an evening. And now, NHL season starts at, right now, is 162 wins, 160 losses, and 13 lovely pushes. And just like that, when I say that we get back over the 10-unit mark, we get back over the 10-unit mark. 11.08 units. Yes, that's plus 11.08 units overall on the season. It's been an up and down roller coaster of a year. It's been like that for everybody this season. So let's get it rolling now. So when I get back, I want to talk about tonight's huge loaded card for this evening. Give me a 2-minute break and I'll be right back.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Change your game with the all-new Pro Rock Hockey Stick, a Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Pro Rock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at ProRock.com. Play like a Pro Rock.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thanks for taking that 2-minute timeout with me. This is the Thursday, February 25th, 2021 episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only King of the Ice himself, Philly Pete. And we're live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. Thanks so much for taking time out of your Thursday afternoon or morning or night, wherever you may be across the world. This is, again, the Thursday episode of Pete's Power Plays. So tonight we have a loaded menu on tap, a lot of good games. And, let's get it started. I mean, what are we waiting for here? So, real quick, a couple side note games before I get into the action. Now, when I look at these two games here, I'm looking first and foremost at the Boston versus Islanders game. Let's kick it off with this. Boston versus the Islanders. Over/under set at 5. You know where we're going here. No need to say anything else. Boston is minus 130 on the money line. Islanders are plus 110 on the money line as well. And it looks like 35% of the money is going towards the Islanders there at that plus 110 spot. Boston getting 65% of the money with that minus 130 spot. Once again, over-under is set at 5. When you look at this game here, Boston is 1-9 on the road in their last 10 when covering the puck line. That is not good for Boston fans out there. 1-9 on the road. Islanders 5-1 at home when covering the puck line there. That's a good lean for me towards that plus 1.5 for the Islanders there on the puck line. Now, when it comes to the over-under, no need to say anything. No need to say a damn word because we know where we're going here. And, that's what I'm liking. If I had to guess, if I had to just take a quick chance here, I would say Boston on the money line. But when it comes to this game and the way the puck lines are so skewed, I'm going with the Islanders plus 1.5. I like that on the puck line there. And I like the over 5. Again, when you see a line of 5, you got to take it. We've been cashing the over 5s a lot lately. And obviously, that Anaheim Coyotes game back-to-back both went over, so that was a no-brainer problem whatsoever. So we're going to rock out the 5 here. Boston and the Islanders. Give me the over 5. Give me the Islanders plus 1.5. I mean, like I said, I like Boston on the money line. I do. But I'm going to take a chance here. I like the plus 1.5. I know it's juicy, but you can definitely parlay it with something else to your liking. So give me the Isles plus 1.5. Give me the over 5 in this game. That's going to be a strong lean for me tonight. And like I said, a small sprinkle on Boston on the money line. I'm hoping for a 4-3 game. That'd be great. Boston wins 4-3, even 3-2 Boston. You push the over 5. Boston gets the win, and you somehow cover the plus 1.5 for the Islanders. Bang, bang, bang play right there. So there you go. There in New York. Next up, Dallas and the Panthers. Over-under is set at 5.5. You have the Florida Panthers there at minus 125. You have the Dallas Stars at plus 105, another dog for tonight, the Dallas Stars. 70% of the money going towards Florida there, while 30% of the money is going towards Dallas. And once again, over-under set at 5.5. Florida looked bad last night. They came back to earth. All right, Dallas played really well after they were on a little bit of a skid, and it was due. Dallas was due. But I'm looking at this game here tonight, and it's a third meeting, and a couple side notes here. It's a third meeting of the week between these two in South Florida. Obviously, we went Stars the other night because I just liked them. It was in a good spot. Plus value at plus 120. They had to wake up eventually, and they cashed out at a good value price too at plus 120 as a dog. Now, I'm sure that they'll be glad that Florida, on the other hand, they'll be glad that Dallas is starting Jake Ottinger in net tonight, and that's a reason for me to sway Florida here. And of course, Qdobin getting the night off after a huge win last night. Obviously, they go to Ettinger tonight. Qdobin stopped 94 out of 94 shots in the first 2 games, yet lost one somehow. But Dallas is without top forwards Radulov once again and Rope Hintz. So back to the Panthers. This is the rubber match. This is game 3 here. And, obviously the Panthers had the edge in scoring, and they were dominating. They dominated Dallas the other night. Last night, not so much, but a couple of nights, they're scoring. They are shooting so many. They're putting so many shots on goal. They had over 40 clearly the past 2 games. So you had to take them here, and especially with Ettinger in net tonight for the Stars, giving Qdobin the break tonight. I'm leading the Florida Panthers here on the money line at the minus 125 spot. The Stars, as a whole now, are 1-4 in their past 5 in a second of a back-to-back. So this is the second back-to-back game with Florida, and they're 1-4 in the last 5. So again, I edge the Florida Panthers here big time. Florida, however, is 9-4 in their last 13 situations like this. So in the back-to-back, they're 9-4 in the last 13 of winning that. So I'm all over the Florida Panthers here. I like the Panthers in this game, and that's where I'm going. Over-under again is set at 5.5. Both teams are 5-5 in their last 10. I'm liking the over once again here tonight. You're going to get plus odds. I believe it's plus 105, maybe plus 110. I think we see a fair amount of goals. I think Florida will score goals, and maybe even Florida team total over 2.5. That might not be bad either. So give me the Florida Panthers money line at minus 125, the over 5.5, and sprinkle a little of that team total for the Panthers over 2.5. There you have it there in Florida. Moving on, Chicago and Columbus. Columbus is minus 120 on the money line. Chicago plus 105 as a small dog money line here. Again, over-under set at 5.5. 60% of the money going towards Columbus. 40% of the money going towards Chicago. Last time on my show, I did say that we were going to take the Blue Jackets, and they lost. So that's how it goes. Unfortunately, luckily I didn't put that out as a play, on Twitter or to clients. When it comes to the over/unders, Columbus is 7-3 in their last 10. Chicago is 5-5 in their last 10. We saw 11 goals in this game the other night. I'm going to roll with the over once again, and I'm going to go with the Columbus Blue Jackets once again here too. So when you look at this game here, another side note that I've had, Columbus has lost 4 of 5 and was beaten obviously 6-5 at home in a shootout by the Hawks on Tuesday. So the reason why I'm back in Columbus here is that, their top defensemen for Columbus, Michael Del Zotto and Zach Werenski, are coming back from injury. So that's huge news for Columbus right there, and that's what they need. This, even though I do like the over here, I'm leaning Columbus big time here once again, and Malcolm Subban should be in net tonight for the Blackhawks, and I tend that way at least. But last time, Lankinen has been good for the Blackhawks. We know that, but he's been giving up some goals lately, and that's why we saw the over previously. But tonight, that's what I'm thinking here. Columbus is 5-1 in their past 6 after allowing 5 or more goals in the previous game. So they gave up 6 goals the other night. So tonight, I'm going the other way. So Columbus, once again, 5-1 their last 6 when giving up more than 5 goals the previous game. So on that, I'm going to go with the Columbus Blue Jackets here at -120 and the over 5.5 there in Columbus. Simple as that. Calgary and Ottawa. A lot of 7 o'clock game here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. A ton of them. Over/under here set at 6. Okay, it was at 6.5. It moved to 6. Ottawa +140. Calgary -160. 65% of the money going towards Calgary there. Ottawa, 35% of the money going towards that +140 spot. These teams are 3-6-1 in their last 10 games. So again, I'm trending under in this game again. I really, really am, and that's how I'm going to go. Especially at 6.5. I have a couple 6.5s up in the books here. I like the under. I like the under 6.5 in this Ottawa-Calgary game. Calgary hasn't really been scoring that much. Ottawa's starting to turn it around. But again, especially if Markstrom is in net tonight, I don't think Ottawa's going to score much at all. So you look at this value here, and I like Ottawa +1.5 on the puck line. They're 6-3 in their last 9 when covering the puck line at home. And I'm going that way. They had the night off last night. Calgary had a tough game against Toronto last night, so and let alone in overtime, and now traveling to Ottawa. So I give the advantage to Ottawa in this game. I do. Give me the +1.5 and give me the under 6.5 when it comes to Calgary and Ottawa. New Jersey and Buffalo. Here we go again with the Devils plays here. Over/under set at 5.5. Buffalo -105. Jersey -115. This is a toss-up game here. 60% of the money going to Buffalo, 40% of the money going towards New Jersey there. And, I'm looking at this game here, and I'm thinking under. Buffalo is 2-8 in their last 10 at home. Obviously not scoring that much at home. New Jersey's 5-5 away when it comes to the over-unders in their last 10. Now on the road, Jersey, 6-1 on the road in their last 7 when covering the puck line. Buffalo, on the other hand, 1-7 in their last 8 at home when covering the puck line. I'm favoring Jersey here. I know we did last time, and the clients didn't cash that out. But I'm going here. I'm going Devils once again. Cue up those GIFs, whatever it may be. But I am going with the Devils here at -115 on the money line. I may sprinkle small salt on that -1.5 puck line for Jersey, just because Buffalo's so bad on the puck line at home. 1-7 in their last 8. That's pretty bad. And the under 5.5. Again, I'm going under 5.5. Give me the Devils here at -115 on the money line, and sprinkle a little bit of salt on that puck line for Jersey as well, because they've been covering too. 6-1 their last 7 away. Simple as that. So there you have it there in Buffalo. Carolina and Tampa Bay. Tampa -140. Carolina +120. Over and set at 6.5. Tampa, once again, 70% of the money going that way. Carolina getting 30% of the love there. First when I see this game, I like the under 6.5. I think Carolina will score tonight. I really do. We saw a 3-0 game last night. But all in all, I'm going to go with the under 6.5. I don't think we're going to get there again. These two teams can play. They can score, but they also can play pretty solid defense. So give me the under 6.5 in Tampa, and I'm leading Carolina at this time. I think that they're going to score goals. Even though they're 3-7 covering the puck line in the last 10, I like the +1.5 for Carolina as well. And quite possibly Philly Pete's dog play of the day. Carolina Hurricanes plus 120. So there you have it there in St. Petersburg, Florida. Pittsburgh and Washington over/under set at 6.5. You know, this is a toss-up. This is a back-and-forth game here, minus 110 each way. You know, basically, the Penguins have the Caps number this year. As much as I like betting on the Caps and the overs in this game because I feel like they always cash out, especially the overs, you know, you got to expect that to happen tonight. So I look at this game here. Both teams are 5-5 in their last 10 on the overs. Pittsburgh's 2-7 on the road in their last 9 when covering the puck line. So Washington, to me, I feel like this is a bounce back spot for Washington. I will take them easily on the money line here as a pick 'em play, basically. And as much as Pittsburgh has their number, I still like it. So give me the Washington Capitals on the money line here at the minus 110 spot. And I want to go with the over 6.5. All right, I know I keep doing it, but I want to keep rolling with it because these are two high-octane offenses, and you expect to see some goals here. So give me the over 6.5, the Capitals on the money line, and quite possibly the first period over in this game, too. I think we could get at least 2 in this first period. So there you have it there in Washington. So the last 3 games here have 3 minutes, so let's get these 2-minute warnings going. Nashville, Detroit plus 140. Nashville, once again, minus 160. Nashville getting 65% of the money. Detroit getting 35% of the money. Over-under here, again, is at 5.5. Detroit ain't scoring. 2-8 in their last 10 with the overs. I'm going under once again. I'm going under 5.5. We cashed the under last time. We're going to go with the under once again in this game. Under 5.5. And Detroit has to break out eventually. Give me the plus 1.5 for Detroit again. All right. Please, Detroit. I'm banking on you guys again. Plus 1.5 for Detroit and the under 5.5 there in Hockeytown in Detroit. Montreal and Winnipeg. Over-under set at 6. Montreal minus 130 on the money line. Winnipeg plus 110. This is a 50-50 going one way, going the other direction here when it comes to the money. And for me, I just think that when you look at this, you know, Winnipeg is 8-2 at home and covering the puck line in the last 10. You know, and Montreal 6-4 in the last 10 when covering the puck line. So this is going to be a good game. I could see a 1-goal game here. I could potentially see 3-3 going to overtime. But I look at this game, and I like the over 6 in this game, and I like Montreal. You know, Montreal is due for a win. They got embarrassed by Ottawa. They really did, and I think that this is a wake-up call for them. And, you know, no Claude Julien. They fired him. Let's get this Montreal Canadiens team back to where they should be because, hey, I have futures on them too. So let's go Habs. So give me Habs on the money line at minus 130 and the over 6 as they play Winnipeg there tonight. And last but not least, Edmonton and Vancouver over-under set at 6.5. We saw an easy over last time. Edmonton, no change, minus 135 on the money line. Vancouver, plus 115 on the money line as well. 65% going to Edmonton, 35% of the money going to Vancouver. I'm liking Edmonton here once again. I think they're starting to bounce back. You know, they're in second place in the North. They're starting to kick some butt, and they're catching fire at the right time. So all in all, I want to roll with Edmonton. Give me them on the money line at minus 135 and the over 6.5 there when they play Vancouver. And I want to go with the first period over 1.5 once again because we cashed that out last time. So ladies and gentlemen, that is all for today. I hope everyone has a phenomenal weekend. Stay safe. I'll catch you guys on Tuesday. And until then, let's have some hockey. I'll see you guys. Bye.